Hey y'all, it's Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis on September 18th, and I've got a couple of show and tell plants that are blooming that I want to talk about kind of quickly today. One of them is actually a complex hybrid Cattleya that I got from a friend. It's a little chewed up, but I think you'll enjoy it. And then I've got another one that's a primary hybrid between two amazing species, and it's doing something really weird. So I'm going to show you sort of an odd growth habit that I have never seen in close to 30 years of orchid growing. But yeah, let's just get started, and I will turn the camera around and show you this plant that's here on the table, and then go back to the orchid table and show you something kind of weird. All right, so this is the complex hybrid Cattleya that I just mentioned, and it is beautiful. This is Alma Kee, and the clonal name is Tipmalee, and it is awarded with an AM AOS. I got this from my friend Frank in Louisiana, who sent me some plants recently, like a month or two ago, and I was pretty surprised to see that the newest growth had decided to put out new blooms. I wish I'd filmed this a day or two ago, because these holes and blemishes literally happened overnight. Again, sort of this ongoing battle with the bugs this year, but I still wanted to show it. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of complex hybrids, to be honest. But when I saw this online, when I looked this up after my friend Frank sent it to me, I said, "Wow, this looks like it glows, at least in the photos," and that is absolutely true. This is almost like an Aurea Dowiana, or Dowiana can be called Cattleya Dowiana or Cattleya Aurea or subspecies Aurea, depending on who you are, where you live, where the plant is from, and which taxonomist you believe. But it has a lot of the qualities of the Dowiana, and this giant lip that's really richly colored, very frilly, and sort of this almost rectangular shape, and then these intensely yellow petals and sepals are just amazing. And then of course it is very fragrant with that typical complex Cattleya hybrid scent. And I hope that the camera is picking this up. Maybe if I move that back a little bit into a little more sunlight. As usual, I'm underneath the oak trees, hiding from the sun a little bit, but maybe it doesn't necessarily capture what's going on all that well. That might be a little better. Anyway, this is a really nice one. I believe this will be a keeper for a long time, and I hope to make a bunch of videos in the near future, ideally with much less insect damage and other features. I mean, I don't even know what would have taken the pollen out of this flower right here. Of course, the nicest flower on this is this one down below that's all been kind of squished by the other flower. So we'll focus on this one. Anyway, now I'm going to go show you another Cattleya that's blooming, that's doing something kind of odd. All right, so believe it or not, this is the other plant, the other Cattleya that's blooming. And no, I'm not talking about this little Mexipedium over here, which I highlighted in a video about a month or so ago. You can see that's still putting out blooms, and I don't know, that kind of looks like a seed pod to me, although I suspect that will fall off at some point. But no, actually, the plant in bloom is this one here. And as you can imagine, or you don't have to imagine, you can't see the blooms, these guys, because this plant has decided that it thinks it's a Stanhopea. So I am not entirely sure if that's coming in clearly, but you can see, I mean, I know these are plants and they don't have brains, but clearly they're not all that bright. Let me see if I can move around and get a better shot. All right, this angle's probably a little better. I don't believe I've mentioned the name, and this is Cattleya Magairlin, which is nobilior by aclandiae. This is a cross that's registered by Jeff Frost, who lives here in Austin, at least for the time being. And he gave me a pretty big flask some years ago, and finally starting to get some nice blooms. And you can see that, you know, it's a really neat looking cross, and this lip is just outstanding. It also blooms, as you can see, in fall, and it does bloom in spring as well. So it's got that hybrid vigor of blooming whenever it feels like, which actually probably comes from the aclandiae, which all on its own typically blooms whenever it feels like, as nobilior is pretty seasonal, blooming in spring. But an interesting flower, very attractive, great looking lip. The first one that bloomed for Jeff actually got an AMAOS on its first attempt at blooming. And as you can see, this plant has decided that growing up towards the sun is for suckers, and it wants to grow in the shade. Not really sure. Not really sure how I'm going to get this guy out of here without sacrificing the bulb or at least some of the leaves, but I'll have to figure that out later. Anyway. Hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.